am Nancy DiRosario and I live in Severance, Colorado. I am so excited to be here with you today and share my favorite entree recipe for sausage stuffed meat roll-ups. They're just absolutely delicious and I think you're going to like them. The best thing that I like about these is you get to use a little bit of leftovers, and you can make these ahead and freeze them because they are a little bit labor intensive. So if you freeze a bunch of them, then you can pull them out as you need them depending on how many people you have in your family. The other thing I like about them is you can take them outside and put them on the grill, which is what I normally do. But today we've got quite a bit of wind going out there and it's kind of cold. So instead what I'm going to do is pop them into my broiler for a while and cook them that way. What I like to do, I marinate my round steak in a teriyaki sauce. And I've had that marinating overnight. What I like to do if I'm going to put it in the broiler is I just pop a little liquid smoke in there and it gives it kind of that smoky flavor. Okay, before I get started, I've got to get my most important thing. It's right over here. This is my apron. I had a grandmother who lived in Missouri, in Bellflower. Isn't that a cute little town? And she loved collecting aprons. And when she passed, because everybody knew how much I like to cook, I got this apron. Isn't that cute? Eat, drink, and be merry. Tomorrow we diet. And that was my grandma's modem, I think, of operation. She always talked about dieting, but she never really did. She liked to cook and she liked to eat. She was a funny lady. She used to be in a little kitchen country band, and she played Minnie Pearl. She'd come up the middle of the aisle dancing and playing her harmonica. She was the star of the show. It's the cutest thing. All right, so I already mentioned the round steak that we're going to use. Then I'm also going to use Philadelphia cream cheese, chive, and onion. In addition to that, I've got my sausage. Now what I've got is a spicy Italian sausage. We cooked these on the grill a day ago. So these are ready to go. You could also use if you had some leftover breakfast sausage, or if you had bulk sausage, that would work too. Also got some sharp cheddar cheese. I've got a little garlic powder in here. I'm going to add a few more chives for a little extra boost. And I've got jalapeno and some bacon. Now how could you go wrong? Meat stuffed with, wrapped in bacon, stuffed with cheese and sausage. Yum. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is cut the sausage into small pieces and just kind of chop it up there because we're going to roll up these steak roll-ups, so you don't want it to be too bulky or it doesn't roll very well. Okay, you don't need too much. It just depends on what your liking is. Like I said, these are kind of spicy. Our family likes spicy, but you could use mild and you could use breakfast sausage. This recipe actually, in its original form, used elk, and it used elk sausage. So that's a possibility too. Now I've got my jalapeno cut in half. I'm going to seed it. Now I have a hard time figuring out how hot jalapenos are until I cut into them. And if my fingers start burning, I know I've got a hot one. Normally, my fingers aren't burning on this one, so I should be good. Normally, I put about 3 thin slices of jalapeno on here per roll-up. And you know, this is one of the best things I love about this recipe too. There is no measuring. You just put in there however much you want. If you like more cheese, put in more cheese. Like less cheese, put in less cheese. If you're on a diet, if it's tomorrow and you're on a diet, you got to put in less cheese. Ha! Not me. All right, I'll try to be neat because my husband, he says it looks like remember the Muppets, the Swedish chef? He used to make those salads and toss them in the air. My husband says I'm like the Swedish chef. I make a mess. And I kind of am kind of messy. I go from one thing to the next. I do try to clean up, but see, don't tell him. I make him clean up. He does it because he loves to eat. So, I don't have to worry about my mess too much. Don't tell him. Hopefully he won't see this. That might be the end of my dishes. My dishwasher. All right, now I've got a big piece of round steak. What I like to do is buy things on sale at the grocery store. So when I see a good deal, some meat, I get it and I tuck it away. If you don't have a freezer, get one. It's a good thing to have. We're just going to keep this piece here because it's nice and even. Now I marinated this in teriyaki overnight, but just to help it out a little bit, I'm going to put my parchment paper on here and I'm going to pound it. Just a little more, help tenderize this meat. There we go. Now you can make these bigger or smaller, depends on the appetite of your people. If they want, you can make these as an appetizer too if you wanted. Just make itty bitty ones if you want. Now, let me wash my hands real quick. I've got teriyaki sauce over there. I don't want to get that in my garlic. You want to just sprinkle a little garlic. Again, this is to taste. You could put a little salt and pepper on, but I think with the teriyaki, most teriyakis have a fair amount of salt in it already. And then, of course, with the liquid smoke, that even adds a little bit more sodium. So I'm going to keep the salt off of this. Now you just want to spread this cream cheese on here. Now, guys, you could use a regular cream cheese too, the logs. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to spread. So what you can do, I don't know if you've tried this, is take it, pop it in the freezer the night before you're going to make it, get it out, and let it sit to room temperature, and it just falls apart. I figured that out one time. I made a stuffed blueberry French toast, and I was having the hardest time cutting that log of cream cheese, and I finally figured out if you freeze it, it would just crumble, just like the recipe said, except they didn't put it down there and freeze it first. I had to figure that one out. All right, next, I'm going to use my sharp cheddar. Now, again, this is another reason I like this recipe. We like sharp cheddar, but if you don't have sharp cheddar in your drawer, you could also use a jalapeno. You could use, a Fontina cheese. Yum, that has a good flavor too. Just going to put 4 little strips of cheese on there. And I'm going to put my chives on here. Then, my jalapeno. And I'm making quite a big one this time. I think I'm going to stick a few extra pieces of my jalapeno. Also, because it didn't burn my fingers in the waist. So I think that I've got a pretty mild jalapeno this time. And I say that, somebody will burn their tongue. What did you put in there? My family's pretty funny. And they're so patient with me, I tell you. Sometimes they come home and they say, Mom, what's for dinner? And I say, a concoction. And they say, oh. We've got some good ones, though. Our favorite thing to say is, that's a keeper. That one's for the recipe book, Mom. So we've got a whole file full of things that we're going to keep in our recipe book for one day. Okay, now I've got some bacon. Just want to make sure that it's a thin cut bacon. Don't want it to be real thick. You just take the bacon, stretch it, wrap it around your. Then take a couple toothpicks here to secure my bacon and my roll up. Okay, move that to the side. Get this out of the way, wash my hands real quick again. That's the thing with handling all this raw food. Gotta keep your hands washed. Although, you know, I remember growing up, my mom used to take meat all the time and just lay it on the counter. She'd leave it there all day. And this was in Missouri. It's hot. It's a wonder I lived to adulthood. Okay, now we'll just pop this on the broiler. Hope my mom isn't watching this video either. I might get in trouble. Okay, let me grab a pot holder. Here we go. Let's take this, put it in my oven over here. Now you want to watch this pretty close. When I'm grilling them outside, it doesn't take longer than 10 minutes. You just want to make sure your bacon is crisp. Make sure you turn it a lot. You can either put this in the bake oven or put it on the broiler. I usually bake it for a while, and then the last few minutes I stick it under the broiler so you've got a nice little crispiness going on the bacon. Here's a couple that I made earlier. As you can see, they're a little bit smaller than the last one I made. And that's okay. You can eat two. All right. Now this is how I like to serve it. I have a nice dish of rice. It's a mixed vegetable medley rice. And it's got kidney beans in it, and some peppers, and some onions, and some walnuts. Delicious. Then we're going to take one of these, pop it on in the middle. I like to put something on there for just a little bit more color. Maybe a couple of tomatoes. Serve that up with a nice yummy coleslaw with top ramen noodles. Yum! And you're all set. I'm telling you what, folks, this is one tasty treat. I hope you'll try this recipe, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I sure enjoyed showing you guys how to make it. It's a recipe that should be shared. All right, thanks for watching. Bye!